The UK government just blocked a new law that meant that trans people in Scotland could legally change their gender without a medical diagnosis. The decision is unprecedented and has caused controversy around several highly sensitive issues, leading some campaigners to say that trans people's lives have essentially been turned into a political football by the media and politicians. So let's unpack this. Under the current system, trans people have to go through a lengthy process in order to change their legal gender. They must have a medical diagnosis of gender dysphoria, prove that they've been living in their chosen gender for at least 2 years, and be 18 years old. The Scottish Bill proposed to drop the medical diagnosis requirement, deferring instead to self-determination, reduce the wait time from 2 years to 6 months, and reduce the age limit from 18 years old to 16 years old. The changes would have brought Scotland's trans legislation in line with 30 other countries, including Canada, Australia, New Zealand, Ireland, and most of the United States. So why has Westminster waded in now, and why is it significant? Scotland has had a devolved government since 1999, meaning that they can pass their own laws on things like healthcare, education, and environment. Meanwhile, the centre of UK Parliament in Westminster controls things like defence and national security. So while the UK government can block Scottish bills from becoming laws, it can only do so if it believes that it would clash with a UK-wide law on an issue that falls outside of Scotland's powers, something that hasn't happened in over 2 decades. The decision has inflamed Scottish calls for independence, as the bill was passed with a huge majority, with a final tally of 86 for and 39 against. Scottish leader Nicola Sturgeon has called the move a full frontal attack on Scotland's Parliament, adding that this battle of the Parliaments is likely to end up in court. So what's the UK's justification? The argument they're making is that the bill would cause differences between Scotland and the rest of the UK. They say the proposed reforms could lead to gender tourism, where people get gender recognition certificates in Scotland and demand the same in England and Wales. There's also the issue that people who change their gender in Scotland would have a different legal gender in the rest of the UK. The UN Special Rapporteur on Violence Against Women and Girls also said the changes could allow people to abuse the system. Meanwhile, the Equality and Human Rights Commission warned that there could be an impact on sex discrimination laws across the UK relating to things like equal pay and entitlements to benefits and pensions. However, studies show that transgender people are over 4 times more likely to be the victims of violent crimes than cisgender people. Victor Madrigal-Borloz, another UN Special Rapporteur, once described trans women as being among the most vilified, disenfranchised and stigmatised people on the planet. The LGBTQ campaign group Stonewall pointed out that when Ireland made similar changes, no other groups were affected apart from trans people who, for the first time, had their gender recognised by the state in a straightforward and empowering way. One European Council even went as far as to equate the UK's record on LGBTQ rights to those of Russia, Hungary, Turkey and Poland, countries which famously have appalling records on the issue. Transgender advocates are also saying that the decision to block the bill is a political dog whistle to the UK government's Conservative supporters. In fact, a study done in 2019 by linguist Paul Baker, a professor at Lancaster University, found that in the year between 2018 and 19, 6,000 articles were written about trans people, many of them deemed to be written in order to be critical of trans people. Paul believes that the disproportionate number of articles written about the trans community, equating to less than 1% of the British population, points to a troubling normalisation of transphobia in public discourse. Amid all this, trans rights activists say that in the last few days, the debate between the critics and supporters of the bill have essentially turned an already marginalised group into political cannon fodder between 2 parliaments. What do you think?